It only took him a year and a half to finally start making a tier list, because everyone does it, and I just wanted to do it with the skills just before Necromancy comes out and see where I will finally rank it when it eventually releases. Yo, what's going on, guys? My name's Valric, and today we're going to be making a tier list of all the 28 current RuneScape 3 tiers, with the categories of Certified Gillenor Classic, which are the absolute best skills, Archaeology, and the next one's going to be good skills, the skills that are just good, enjoyable to do, that are just, just short of that Certified Classic, but, you don't mind doing it all. And then there are the ones that are just neutral, that you just don't enjoy, but also don't really mind doing, them ones, like, for example, fishing, for example. It's not bad, it's not great. And then there are the ones that are just bearable to do, and lastly, just delete them. There are some that just need to be deleted from the game, and that's fine, completely fine. And we need to be honest about ourselves, that some just need to be gone. Like, I know it's difficult to say, no, I'm not going to do it. We're going to do it in alphabetical order. So let's just start with agility. And I'm going to put it somewhere where you guys will probably not expect it, neutral. I think agility has a lot going for it. I think it's a good skill. And in concept, it should be very useful with all the shortcuts and stuff. However, we just don't have that many useful shortcuts, if I'm going to be completely honest. And I feel like there's potential for it to move up in here if the shortcuts especially get added and there's more interesting courses, because I feel like the Manifolds, no, not the Manifold scores, the Heads Away scores is pretty decent, and especially the Anachronia course is very good as well, and they really feel, especially Anachronia one, feels like you're going on an adventure with agility, and that should be the case, but it's just so much effort for so little experience, and that is my issue with a lot of these skills, and we'll get into it, especially when we get to Dungeoneering, for example. But yeah, I think it has potential, but it's not a good skill. But it's also not, unbearable. Next up, it's easy, Certified Hook Classic. I think Archaeology is, whatever you think about it, is just design-wise one of the best skills, because yes, it's a gathering skill, and yes, you could say it's mining and smithing with extra steps, which in essence it is, but every RuneScape skill is in essence another RuneScape skill, right? So I think Archaeology is just the perfected version of everything that is a gathering skill, and with all the mysteries and with the quests and all the useful things that you get from it, I think it's just up there, and I feel like this is definitely the benchmark of what a skill should be, and I really hope that Necromancy will be somewhat close to it. Next up, I will probably group these together, attack, defense, and strength, because they kind of do the same thing. I think combat in general is, I can see it as a skill, but it's just neutral. Like, they're just there. I guess what they do is great, but just training the skill itself, like, I'm just thinking about elite dungeon farming, right? And that's not really interesting to do. Like, it's not really fun or anything. So I feel like it's just, it's just neutral. Like, they're not good skills, they're not bad skills, there's just nothing to them. Like, they're not really that unique. It's what any MMO has, combat. Like, it's just there. Construction, I will also put it neutral. I will be ordering them later as well, because I think construction is just like agility. It's just one of those skills that has a lot of potential, but it's not being lived upon. And I feel like it definitely moved up a little bit, especially here. Like, it's getting closer to a good skill with the fort, but really the only useful thing is the fort that you can build with it, and besides that there's not much to it, which sucks, because as I said, just with agility there's much potential in the skill, but it's not really lived upon. Like, in old school I would maybe even consider it a good skill because of like all the things you can build in your house and how useful your house will become because of construction, but in this skill it's there. When it comes to cooking, I put it in bearable. I think cooking is just boring to train. There's nothing much to it. It's just you cooking food, and it's just kind of there, and it's not too special. And sure, cooking food is useful for Iron Man, I suppose, but on a main it's just one of them skills, because I'm looking at it from a main perspective, right? It's just one of them skills that you just train to 99 and then never touch again, which it's the same with crafting. Like, I feel like crafting is in there as well. Like, crafting is maybe even a worse offender, because I can't really think, besides the Hydrix amulets and the Onyx amulets, of the useful things that come from crafting. Really, like, at least cooking has like different tiers of food and boosts and stuff with the pies coming from it, but with crafting it's just not great. And next up is Divination, and it hurts me to put it in deleted. I think the main reason why I would put it there is just the fact that it's just boring to train, and it's such a step back from other skills, especially when it came out. It came out in 2013, and the skill before it is Dungeoneering. And even though I don't really love Dungeoneering, and I think, you know, it's unbearable, which I could just put it in there because it's the next skill. I think it's unbearable. I feel like Divination just doesn't have that much going for it. Sure, it has porters and stuff, but it's like the worst version of a gathering skill, where archaeology is like the best version of a gathering skill, at least in my opinion. And it kind of became bearable to train when the Elder Halls became a thing, because that's not really core divination training. Caches, which is also not core divination training, and core divination training became good when archaeology released, because it allowed you to throw in all the energy at once and made it like proper experience rates. And I feel like if other skills or other method besides the core training method need to be released to make a skill good, then it's not a good skill, at least not in my opinion. And when it comes to Dungeoneering, I think Dungeoneering is just, it's good in concept, and obviously everyone says it's just a mini game, which to a certain extent I do agree with. But with Dungeoneering, I just feel like it's so much effort for so little reward. And I know you can get really high like experience rates at like higher levels with like groups and stuff, but if you just want to do it as just a skill on your own, I feel like skills, in my opinion, are like kind of like the thing that you train to advance your account. I feel like it has a lot of potential, but it's not even neutral. I just think it's bearable to train, and I think it would have been up in neutral, maybe even a good skill, if the elite dungeons... No, I think it would be a neutral, because I think if elite dungeons were an actual viable trading method and they would have a requirement, like for example at 80 you can do elite dungeons 1, 2 and 3, for example, and at 90 elite dungeons 4 or 100 or whatever, because it was the first 120 skill, right? I think it would have been a lot better. But then again, you could also argue that then the core aspect of the trading method, just what I said with Divination, is not the best way to train it. So I think the highest that it could be for me is neutral, but right now it's just unbearable, because it's just When it comes to farming, I think farming is... I would consider it a good skill. And I know that might sound strange to some people, but I think farming especially... I know it sucked for PVM, right? Because obviously the idea with removing the herbs for farming to get your herbs from farming again and just farming other different things, and with the player-owned farms, which is an expansion on it, which I do see it's still the core trading method, but just not with plants but with animals. But it's like a part of what farming would be, right? In my opinion. I think with the buffs and boots that gives as well, I think it's really good. I think it's a good skill, and it's in a good place right now. I think before player owned farms I would have put it in neutral, but right now I would put it in a good skill, because I think it just has a lot going for it, and I think it now has lived up on its potential. Where, as I said before, player owned farm, I think it would be just a neutral skill, right? I think fire making, just delete it, bro. Like, fire making is bad. Like, nothing against it really, but you're literally just burning the logs, and you can't really, like, it's literally burning money. Like, the skill is literally burning money. Like, at least construction allows you to build things that you can have and use, but fire making is just, you literally are burning money. I think if Winter Thought would be a thing in RuneScape 3, I would put it in bearable, but then again, it would have the same argument as Dungeoneering. The core skill training method is not the best way to train it, or it's not the actual way to train it, so it's just a bad skill. It's deleted. I think fishing in general, I think it's neutral. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's good. You gain something from it. Not to be honest, like I know I said it in the intro. I think I'll just put fishing in bearable. I don't think it's like, it's just one of those skills you kind of just do and don't really mind doing. I just realized that bearable and neutral are quite like, you know, the same thing. But I think fishing is just, I don't know, it's just boring, right? And it doesn't really give you much to it. And I'm really thinking about fishing right now, and I'm just indifferent between neutral and bearable. Like, let's put it in low neutral, right? Like, I think it's up there. Fletching, it hurts me to say, because it used to be my favorite skill for a long time, because I love it, but if I'm gonna be honest, like, it moved on into low neutral with the dino arrows, but still, it's one of those things where, like, for example, with Herblore, which came up here, I think it's a good skill. Like, I think Herblore is like a good skill now, because it has a lot of useful things with the potion stuff. I would say that Herblore is above farming, but I feel like with I think Fletching could really go the way of Herblore, obviously to a lesser extent. And I think it's better than Crafting, because Crafting doesn't really have any useful things. And at least with Fletching, you do have some useful things, especially with the Dino arrows and the God arrows and some of the other arrows that you can make with it. But yeah, it's just one of those things that, like, it floats between here and there, right? Like, I think it might actually be up here. Because it's just the Dino arrows that is going, just like this has the Hydrix is going for it. And I don't know, man. Like, it's just one of them ones where I'm like, there's potential there, but at most neutral, because you need to have things be made from it. But when it comes to Hunter, I think Hunter could literally be a certified Gillinor Classic, but I think right now it's just a good skill. I think just hunting and the different types of animals you can hunt in Hunter is great, and the different types of traps you have. And I think it would be a god tier skill, like a certified Gillinor Classic, if it would have more things like Big Game Hunter, because I feel like Big Game Hunter is Hunter at its peak, right? Like, I think that is what Hunter should be, and I would love if that had like another like 5 different types of encounters like Big Game Hunter. Hunter would by far be a certified Gillinor Classic, but I think right now it's just a good skill that has a lot of potential that they can do a lot of things with. When it comes to Invention, right now, as it's currently standing, it's a god tier skill. Like, it's a Gillinor Certified Classic. I think this didn't only just change the meta for PVM, but it also changed the meta for literally the entire game. It gave value to so many things because of all the money sinks that it brought and all the just things that it changed. Like, Clue Scrolls wouldn't be really a relevant thing in RuneScape 3 right now if it wasn't for Invention. And they goes with a lot of other items as well, like that just wouldn't be worth a lot. Like logs, for example, they are worth something because of Invention and the components that you need from it, and they're still expanding on it now, and it makes things relevant again, because, you know, they'll be like, oh, we need these components because they have not really been used for example, cyber components after the rework for the Zamorak Elite Dungeon was added. It became sideways, became really expensive again. So I think Invention is just a go-to skill. I know when it released it wasn't there. I think when it released it might have been a good skill, but like on the low end. But now it is a certified classic. And with Magic, I would actually put it into a good skill. I think there's a difference between Magic and combat stats, because Magic has so much more utility as well when it comes to just combat. It also has like all the enchantment spells, and it gave like a purpose to like jewelry and stuff, and it has the teleports, and I think it's just overall, it's just a really more useful skill. It's like a better thought out combat skill, at least in my opinion. When it comes to mining, I think mining is just here. It's like a neutral skill. I don't think it's like... not bare, it's just there, right? Like, I think the mining and smithing reward made it a lot better, so I think it would definitely move up here, but it still isn't, it isn't great. I think fishing would move up a lot more as well if it had a rework like mining and smithing. And I think I can put smithing up in good though whilst we're talking about it, because smithing became such a useful skill, and especially I know I'm saying it from a main perspective, but just training through it and making everything quite useful to the level that you're actually doing it. You actually make level 50 tier at level 50 smithing, and I played as an Ironman, and the skill felt just amazing, and I think it's just really, really good. But yeah, I think the mining and smithing rework is such a great thing that happened to RuneScape, and it gave actual relevance to both these skills. Prayer, I would say that prayer in... it's there. I think it's better than the other combat skills, but I don't think it's a good skill. It's just, it does its thing with the prayer books, and there's nothing more to it. I don't think there's much to say on it. Like, obviously it has a lot of useful uses and it is really good, but I don't think it's like particularly a good skill. Like, for example, with Magic, where there's a lot more utility to it. Like, prayer does one thing, that is like the prayers, and that's really it. Where Magic is like, it isn't just a combat skill, it also has like utility things. When it comes to range, I'll just put it here, like, nothing much to say. It's just a combat skill. That's it. Rune crafting is, to me, it has so much potential. Like, it's on here. Like, it has so much potential that it's just not lived up upon. Like, crafting runes, and especially if you see something like Guardians of the Rift and Old School RuneScape, there's so much potential with the skill, but it's just kind of like, I don't mind trading it, and I don't think it's a bad skill, and I think it's very... like pivotal to what like RuneScape is with lore and stuff. But yeah, no, I think it's like it's like a decent, like, it's just a good skill with a lot of potential that's just not lived upon. Slayer, I would say it's like high, like it's just not yet a certified Guild or Classic. Like I think a lot of people consider it, but I think Slayer is just, it's just missing like a little thing. Like I know we have Reaper Slayer, but I think if we had Boss Slayer like old school RuneScape, I think it would be a certified Guild or Classic, because I think that's the only thing missing from Slayer, where you have like Slayer, like proper Slayer bosses like the Magister we have, but also like an option to do Slayer bosses within your task list or whatever. I think if we have that properly, and same with the superior creatures being reworked and actually useful, I think it would just be in here, because Slayer is an incredible skill, and that's why it's like a high good skill, like edging on certified Guild or Classic, but it still has some things that can be improved upon. When it comes to summoning, I would put it like next to Prayer, because I feel like it does the exact same thing. Like it does its thing, and it's a good skill, and it's there, but I feel like there's more that they could have done with it, like maybe leveling up your pets or so, or your familiars or whatever. But as I said, I don't think there's really much to it. I think it's just on the same playing field as Prayer, right? Like it's just kind of there, it does what it needs to do, and that's really it. Thieving, I think I'll put it right here. I think with save cracking especially, it became a lot better, and it's there, but still, I feel like Thieving is just one of those skills that's just kind of there. There's not much I can really say about it. There's not much usefulness to it. With Woodcutting, I hate to say it, but I like to put it in bearable, because I think Woodcutting is such an iconic skill, and it's nice to do, and it feels okay, but yeah, it's just, you know, the fact that the best skilling method pretty much you unlock at like 40 until like golden bamboo, but then you need like golden chain axes, you can only do it for a limited time, blah 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 blah. It just shows that the skill just has a lot of work to be done, and it's just not really that great. Like I think it's like where mining and fishing, especially fishing, just has like a logical progression to a certain extent. With Woodcutting, there's just not there. You need crystallize to properly train it, and yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, looking at the order, I think I would put that there. I think that's like a good order right now. As I said, well, I mean, actually, you know what? Yeah, so I would say that Slayer is like, so Archaeology, amazing. Invention, amazing. Slayer, it's like really close here, like 1 or 2 updates away. Hunter, it's like 5 updates away. Magic, I don't think it will ever be here. It's just a really good skill. It's just there. Herblore, same thing. It's like the same as Magic. Smithing, kind of as farming. Like it does what it needs to do. It's like in its perfect state right now. It's just good. These have just a lot of potential to move up in good skill, but right now it's just not lived upon. Summoning and Prayer just do their thing and are just there. The combat stats just, you know, combat is good. Like combat is S tier, but the skills itself, there's nothing much really to it. You kill monsters. And same with runecrafting, you kind of just craft runes, and that really is it. I would say that this is like a little bit higher though, because of like the way it functions and stuff. But yeah, it just crafts runes, and like as I said, if it's a Guardians of the Rift, even though it's like not a core training method, but there's more to do with it. I think it could move up a little bit. Like I think it will never get it to a good skill, but it will move up a lot. And fishing, just kind of there. Same with thieving, fletching, crafting. If it actually, and cooking, if it actually has proper uses that, you know, make sense, then it would move up. But they're just not really there. And the same with dungeoneering. It's just so much effort for so little output, and woodcutting just needs to rework, and these skills just, they're just not great. But yeah, that's my tier list. It's a bit of a longer video. I really do hope you guys did enjoy it. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'll actually link this tier list because I had to make it, because on the official one, archaeology is not on there. Let me know in the comment section down below what you do think of this tier list, and if you do agree, and if you do not agree, and what your tier list is. Just link me it, and yeah, let me know. Did enjoy it? Leave a like, subscribe if you're new. My name's Valric. See you guys in my next video. Goodbye. Of course I get a hiccup at the end.